find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
So, I watched this movie called Prisoners the other day. Have you seen it?
Is that the one with Hugh Jackman?
Yes.
And Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yes.
And Paul Dano?
Yes.
I have seen that movie. That movie is scary.
That movie is so scary. It's absolutely buck wild. And the whole time I just thought of you the whole time. I was like, Katelyn would be saying, why are we sticking to the same suspect? We need to be looking at other suspects. And like,
I know, they really got tunnel vision in that movie, and it bit them in the ass.
It did it, and it did. It fully did. Because, so, like, if you have not seen Prisoners, it is about a huge Jackman and his family. And
I think Terrence Howard is in it, too.
Yes, that's the other guy who plays a much more level-headed person.
Yeah, still okay with a lot of shit that's questionable.
And Viola Davis also lets a lot of things slide.
Yes.
She's kind of badass in it, though.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, maybe that's a double standard, because Huge Jackman is, like, he's a doomsday prepper type. Him and Terrence Howard's young daughters get kidnapped. Mm-hmm. On Thanksgiving.
That's right, yeah.
Which is like, is this our new Thanksgiving movie?
Watch the Macy's Day Parade, watch Prisoners, go to bed.
It's all thematic. It all goes with the family theme. And then you can watch Fast and Furious. It's all about family.
All 10 of them, yes.
All 10 of them. You know, that'll get you to Christmas, surely. Like I said, Hugh is ready for this. He's been fucking waiting. Like, in the first, 5 minutes of the movie, he's, looking at his son being like, I want you to be ready for when, they stop delivering food to grocery stores. And because they're hunting in the woods. It is a very interesting crime thriller, and I kept thinking about how you would tell it as a story and what your commentary might be.
I don't know. That's a hard one, too. It's like, I feel bad for Paul Dano in the end.
Yeah, spoilers aside, here.
He didn't do it, right?
No.
That's right.
The whole thing about the movie, why it is called Prisoners, is Huge Jackman, being so ready, is convinced that it's Paul Dano because he's in this RV that the little girls decided to play on and kind of hit when they walked by, and then the girls go missing. But so Hugh takes it upon himself because the investigation isn't going anywhere and the police aren't taking him seriously, and they've let go the person that he firmly believes is the person, which I feel like we've seen in true crime a lot, that there's a suspect where it's everyone firmly believes it's this person. In the movie, there's no evidence to back it up, so Hugh takes it upon himself to kidnap Paul Dano's character and torture him for days.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Not great.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's a bad move.
It's really bad, and it's
super brutal.
When the justice system, this isn't even the justice system, but when a father's love goes too far.
Yeah, and in the end, like we were saying, spoilers, skip to the theme song if you don't want me to spoil Prisoners for you.
This movie is 10 years old by now, right?
Yeah, exactly. You got it.
If you're sad about it, find another podcast.
I would love someone to be passionate enough about our podcast that they're like, thanks for ruining Prisoners for me.
I was gonna watch that movie tonight, and
because
now I don't want to. Yeah.
And now you've told me that Paul Dano is in fact not the kidnapper. God damn it. But he isn't. It's his mother.
Oh, shit. That's right. It's all coming back to me. I haven't seen that movie in a year.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's stressful, though. If you have had
super
a hard
stressful.
day, do not unwind with Prisoners.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. All right. Well, on to some other lighthearted frivolity.
Here we go.
In olden days, a glimpse of femur was only for morbid dreamers, but you're not alone. Bring anything bones. Two goofy gals with deathly interest go on a skeleton inquest in your headphones. Anything bones.
Hello and welcome to Anything Bones. I'm Sophie Cowboy Schwartz.
And I'm Katelyn. Welcome to Austria, Heart.
And this is the show where we talk about bones and European countries.
Yeah, apparently we're all about going over to Europe this fine evening. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Bonetown.
Population, you, me, and the 206 bones in your sexy body.
Nice. Love that. A lot of them are in your ear, so think about that right now.
There are so many little tiny ear bones, and when I think about how fragile they are and how much loud music I listen to, I become worried.
You know, it could go so badly. I think my inner ear is fucked up because I get car sick super bad if I'm not the driver. And so it's like, it's got to be inner ear or something. I don't know.
Maybe all your liquids need to be rebalanced. You need to...
Probably.
Someone needs to look at your humors.
I need to get my blood leaded.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, Katelyn, I've been watching another quick media review.
Yeah.
I've been watching The Nick.
What's that?
Oh, Katelyn. It is a show about the heroic era of medicine. So, like, 1900s. Like,
oh, shit.
Early 1900s, late 1800s. Like, when they were, like, cutting people open to find stuff out.
Sure,
and, like,
yeah.
they're, like, inventing surgeries as they're coming on to problems and stuff.
Oh, that
like,
sounds great.
And there's literally so much grave robbing talk, Katelyn. There's so much grave robbing talk, and I got so excited because they're like haggling the prices of the bodies, and I was like, these prices are accurate, Joe. These prices are accurate for the time. $80 would be insane. That would outprice everybody else. Like, he's like looking at me like, why do you know this?
Yeah.
I'm like, because this is my shit.
This is also sidebar, but have you seen the Dungeons and Dragons movie?
I finally did.
Oh my God, it's so good.
It was so great. I was not disappointed as an avid Dungeons and Dragons player. I was super satisfied. There were so many great references. The way they used the gelatinous cube to escape.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And as somebody who doesn't play D&D, I also really enjoyed it. Like, it was just a good movie. And I sobbed. I sobbed at the end.
It was touching, and it captured the true spirit of D&D, because the true spirit of D&D is going on an epic adventure, fucking up most of the time, not doing it well, and being unqualified.
Okay.
And then having like a heartfelt reunion.
Yeah, it was so good.
The heart was there.
Mm-hmm. So much good acting in that movie too. I expected to enjoy it, but I went with my boyfriend Chris, and he was seeing it for the second time because he's like a dungeon master. He's super into D&D.
Oh man, we're gonna have to talk dragons.
I know. You guys are gonna get on like gangbusters.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna go for him. Like, you know, it'll probably be a good. I was blown away.
Oh my God, so much fun. Chris Pine really held it down for us.
Yeah. What a rock star.
Michelle Rodriguez stole the show.
Oh my God. Yeah, she is not just the Fast and Furious lady.
No, she needs so much more shit to be in. And she kicks so much ass. She kicks so much ass. That was her whole job in the movie, was to be the one who kicked all the ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Chris Pine made the plans.
Yeah.
I love that.
I loved the part where they were like, you know, if we don't go with plan A, we'll go with plan B. And they're like, okay, what if that doesn't work? Plan C, which is actually plan A. They're like, why would you call it plan A? He was like, because that's got stink on it. Like,
that's right, yeah.
Which is like so true. Like, in D&D, you are changing that plan 1,000,000 times. You're like, oh shit, we are in the shit. We are surrounded. Back to plan A. So yes, loved it. I felt like I was like the last person of at least my D&D group to see it, which is only 2 other people, but they were like, Sophie, you got it, because one of the people in the main like group is a tiefling, the one with the little horns and the tail.
Oh yeah.
And that's the kind of fantasy person that my fantasy person is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
But she's like 7 feet tall and her horns are way bigger.
Oh, well.
She's
Look at you.
Well, it's part of my character because we were in a gnome town for a while and I kept hitting my head on door frames and stuff like that. My horns would get caught in chandeliers and it was a lot of shenanigans.
Well, Now that we've talked all our various medias.
Now that we've had our Bone theater review time.
Yeah, a debrief of the Boney movies and media in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any that I'm like really right now. I get home from work and I turn on old episodes of Kitchen Nightmares. I don't know why. I can't stop, won't stop. It soothes me somehow, even though it's objectively horrible.
I mean, I'm with you there. I still sometimes fall asleep to episodes of Bones.
Yeah.
I also just watch a lot of YouTube complaining people complaining about the most minuscule parts of internet culture. There are people who are obsessed with adding a bunch of flavorings to their water as like meal replacement.
Okay. Ew.
It started with people who had bariatric surgery and they couldn't like eat for a time, and so they had to drink a bunch of water, but these people were like, can't do normal water because sometimes your body actually can't tolerate just like normal water. It's a whole thing. But this launched this trend that became, as your instincts quickly ascertained, a terrible diet thing.
Yeah, super toxic. I've only seen the like headlines, but I'm just like, I'm not getting involved.
I can't. I literally can't. My therapist is like, you even go over there, I'm gonna smack you in the back of the head. Get back over here. Eat a hamburger.
And settle down for something hideous. I'm really going to do it now. I'm going to tell my tale. So my sources for this one were Medium, The Guardian, and Wikipedia, obviously.
Classics.
I'm going to put a big trigger warning on my story for elder abuse. So if that's not something you can listen to, maybe skip to about halfway through this episode for Sophie's story, and I'll see you again next time. So I'm going to talk today about the Austrian Lainz Angels of Death.
Oh no.
Lainz is a general hospital in Vienna, and it's a very respected medical center. I guess the Angels of Death worked at Pavilion 5, which is specifically for it says, quote, elderly patients with behavioral issues, mental illnesses, or other special needs. And, it wasn't a place where death was uncommon. So unfortunately, these Angels of Death were able to get a lot of victims and be undetected. They were active for 6 years. And there were multiple Angels of Death, which I've not heard of before.
Unconnected to each other? Or...
No, they were a team.
Oh, shit.
So
That's so scary.
Right? So the first thing that drew me to this case was this Medium article that was titled, When 4 Serial Killers Team Up.
That sounds... First of all, that sounds fake, but I know that it's not.
Mm-hmm.
But also, what a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds literally it sounds fake. It's such a nightmare situation.
Exactly, yeah. But I double checked and it's real.
Oh, I believe you. Truth is
No
always
hate.
more brutal than fiction.
No hate to Medium, but those are self-published, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta just double check because people can write whatever they want on the internets.
Yeah, and I'd like to think we try to do our homework on sources.
Yeah.
Always every once in a while do I use a strange grandma's blog.
So the hospital is very old. It was established in 1839, but I'm going to take us to 1983 when the Angels of Death get started.
That's so recent.
I know, it's crazy. And also, just keep in mind, this is in Austria. I don't know. So it's not it's just different. And I don't think we've covered a lot of Austrian things.
Welcome to the board, Austria.
I don't know that much about the country, I'm afraid, other than Sound of Music took place there.
I've heard their hills are very beautiful.
They're alive with the Sound of Music.
Oh, that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, I had a friend that studied abroad there for a year, and I still don't really know what went on. Okay, so we're in 1983. And 24-year-old nurse's aide, Waltraud Wagner, I don't know if I'm saying her first name right, but Waltraud is what it looks like to me.
It's a powerful name.
She becomes the first Angel of Death of this, foursome. And she, for whatever reason, maybe the patient was asking to die or was asking for some relief. We'll never know, obviously. But she gave the patient a lethal dose of morphine and later said that this was like the beginning of her like spree because she really liked that she was able to like play God.
These are the kind of killers that really creep me out.
It's really scary. And as somebody who works in healthcare, it's just like, it's so horrifying because 99% of the people that you meet in the healthcare field are like the nicest people you'll ever find that just are there to like help people. And then you get, 0.5% that are just terrible people. And then you probably get a, like even smaller chunk that are murderous. But yeah, I don't know why you go into healthcare if you feel this way about people and are so able to just like turn off your humanity and are just like, okay, I'm a god now.
Yeah, it's really scary, and it's like hard to think of a person who has that thought of like, I could kill this person, and then does it for what, like we'll never know if like the patient, even if the patient wanted it, you should. There are other ways. Not that I'm saying doctor-assisted suicide is a bad thing. I'm in favor of it if like, but this is not the way. This is not that.
This is not the way. And so this lady, the nurse, Wagner, her like personality and her quote unquote leadership gets her to enlist 3 other nurses in her like plans. So the other 3 nurses who also work the night shift at this Pavilion 5 in the hospital, one of them is Maria Gruber. She's a 19-year-old single mother. Irene Laydolf was 21. She was married and liked spending time with her colleagues, apparently. I don't know what that detail has to do with anything.
Well, maybe they all like to hang out and have little gossip sessions after they killed people.
They did, actually. You just wait.
Oh, my goodness.
And the last member of this foursome was Stephania? I don't know. It looks like Stephanie, but there's a J in there. And she was a divorced mother and grandmother who was from Yugoslavia originally. So one way or the other, one by one, they were kind of recruited into this Angel of Death foursome. They initially were doing a lot of morphine overdoses, which is actually not a very painful way to die, I would think, compared to what they evolved to, which this is bad. So if you're really sensitive, you might skip ahead a couple minutes. So the technique that they ended up using for most of their victims was what they called the water cure.
Oh, God.
One of them would hold the patient's head and pinch their nose, and the other one would pour water down their throat until they drowned. Isn't that absolutely hideous?
That might be one of the worst.
I mean, yeah, it's
things that you've told me, like on this podcast.
I could not believe that. And my source here, which was from Medium, said it could take between 45 and 60 minutes for the victim to die.
Oh my God. You have to be so committed to that.
Yeah. And the reason that they were so committed to that, this is disgusting. The patients that were there were prone to having fluid in their lungs. And so they thought that they were being smart and that the drownings would not be noticed because it's just extra fluid in their lungs, which is technically normal for a lot of these patients.
It's so scary that they're nurses.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Like, to even come up with that, it's just like, it's like a Saw movie or something.
Yeah, this is sick. Like, this is, like, when you were telling me that this person recruited other people, I was thinking that's so cult leadery, or they'd have to be, I was thinking you have to be pretty charismatic to get other people to do this, but to get other people to do that with you?
Yeah, so hideous.
I can't even imagine. How do you even propose that that's what you do? It's the thoughts that people have.
Yeah, people's brains are very scary.
Yeah, that should be the subtitle of this podcast. Anything Bones. in quotations, people's brains are very scary.
And or alternative, don't trust anyone.
/ these bones are very old. That part's just for me.
Yeah. It's a 2-part warning.
It's a 2-part warning. People are fucked up, and hey, look at these old bones.
Yeah, wow.
Wow, look at that.
At first, they were kind of killing people who they deemed to be like too weak or that were, they thought were suffering. Still not really including the patient in that decision, but you have to wonder, like, what motivated them to do this. And they said it was just about anything, any kind of annoyance to that the patient did, that something that they thought was annoying, such as, quote, snoring, bedwetting, refusing medication, or requesting assistance from nurses at inconvenient times.
Wow, that doesn't sound like all your run-of-the-mill old people stuff.
It's like, guys, what did you think you signed up for in the elder care ward of a hospital? Like, all you gotta do is get a different job. You don't have to do this. If you hate people this much, do something else.
Exactly. Those are the type of people who should not be in the healthcare field. I mean, they shouldn't really be in any field. I mean, I feel like whatever
they should be in jail.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know where these people should be, but like, I feel like maybe these are the type of people that any job they had, they would figure out how to hurt people. But like, it reminds me a lot of the Iceman who we talked about, not last episode, but I think the episode before.
That's right, yeah.
Where he was a hitman, but he would also go into New York and just kill people that pissed him off. And it's like the slightest things. And I think it's like a certain type of mindset or a certain type of psychology where that is enough to kill someone in somebody else's eyes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of unanswered questions in this, like, maybe because some of the sources were in Austrian and I didn't have access to them or whatever, but we're just like never gonna know exactly why they did this. And you can never really know with these like serial killers, but my question is like, okay, it seems like the ringleader, Wagner, was like maybe most into this, like she started it. So would the others have been serial killers if they hadn't have met her? Like, would she have been as successful if she couldn't get anybody else on her, like, quote unquote team? Like, would she have just stopped? Like, there's just a lot of what ifs for me in this one.
Yeah, entirely, because there are so many variables to this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a mindfuck. So you said it earlier. They thought that it was super awesome to go hang out with each other after work at the bar, go get some drinks, talk about their cases, their patients, and make fun of them and the ways that they died. So we're up to February 1989. So this has been going on since 83.
Great.
So during one of these like bar hangs, they were laughing about this patient who had been subjected to the water cure because she had resisted her medication and had quote unquote insulted Wagner, which is like she probably, I mean, come on, like maybe, but that doesn't mean you kill someone.
Oh, did the incontinent woman pee in the bed?
Yeah, right. Oh, did you have to do your job that you wanted to do? Like, you must have gone to nursing school.
Yeah, you had a long time to decide if this was right for you.
Yeah. So they're at the bar. They're talking about this patient and, that's so funny how she died. And a doctor hears them. Fucking doctor overhears them and is like, excuse me, guys. So he doesn't actually confront them directly. It doesn't seem like, I mean, I wouldn't if I heard that.
He doesn't throw his white wine in their face and say, excuse me.
You have got to be joking me, ladies. So he tells authorities, and then 6 weeks later, the 4 of them are charged with murder.
Good.
Yeah. But it took 6 weeks to figure this out. Like, I really hope nobody died in those 6 weeks at the hospital because of them. You know what I mean?
Well, hope not, but hats off to that doctor. This is why you always got to be eavesdropping.
Mm-hmm. Always.
Especially on your coworkers.
Yes, keep your ears and eyes open at all times.
I do. This is no joke, but like sometimes I'll stop whatever I'm listening to in my like headphones at work because I'll be talking to someone, whatever, but I won't take the headphones out. I'll leave them in. And the first time I did this, I was not trying to be sneaky. I was just walking around doing my thing. But I did hear gossip one time when they thought no one was listening. I was listening.
So fuck you guys.
No, it was good gossip.
Oh, okay.
And then
keep
like
doing it.
5 seconds later, I took my headphones out and was like, she did what? And they were like,
oh,
bitch,
shit.
we thought you were listening. I was like, well, I was. I'm a sneaky little ghost.
So the police investigation into our Lainz Angels of Death, they initially examined about 300 deaths at the hospital because they weren't really sure what they were dealing with. So any like suspicious death, they were treating like it could possibly be these angels of death.
That makes sense.
But that water cure that these stupid bitches did was actually pretty effective. So the police could only gather enough evidence to charge them with 39 homicides.
Oh, only 39 homicides.
I know, yeah. So the group collectively, when they were in custody, confessed to like 49 murders. And Wagner, the ringleader, took credit for a whole 39 just herself. Some of the accomplices admitted to helping Wagner. And then one of the accomplices, Irene Laidolf, claimed that Wagner had committed 100 murders in the last 2 years of their spree. So they're all over the place and pointing the finger at each other, but they're all fucked.
A lot of these killers tend to also be liars.
Yeah, and as her trial got closer, Wagner wasn't bragging about taking 39 lives. Instead, she was like, well, actually, I only killed 10 patients and they were all suffering very greatly, so I did them a favor.
What about the other 39?
Exactly. It's a mess, and we're never going to know exactly how many people they killed. The numbers are, anywhere between 39 and 200.
That's wild.
But Wagner was found guilty of 15 murders, 17 attempted murders somehow, and 2 counts of assault, and she was given a life sentence. Irene Laidolf was also given her life sentence, and then Stephanaja, the Austrian version of Stephanie, and Maria Gruber each got 15-year sentences for manslaughter and attempted murder. Okay, flash forward to July 2008. In Austria, a life sentence means you're there for 15 years. So the 2 ladies, Waltraud Wagner and Irene Laidolf, who are in their mid to late 40s now, get released on good behavior. And the accomplices, Maria Gruber and Stephanaja Mayer, they had been released a few years previously, also on good behavior, and they were given new identities.
That's generous.
Not sure. Officials didn't comment on whether Wagner and Laidolf would get new identities. But people were kind of pissed about it in Austria. And I guess some people were questioning the Austrian legal system, wondering if 15 years was a life imprisonment. Because these guys did their crimes when they were in their 20s. So they got out before they were 50. So...
Yeah, it's hard to know what to think about that. Because it's coming from our judicial system, which is extremely it's very draconian.
Punitive.
Yeah, it's very punitive. There are still states that kill people, right? Our justice system is about, it goes pretty hard. But I also think that rehabilitation is a thing that should be more. There's a lot of stuff wrong with our prisons, but I think a life sentence has to be the best option in a way for someone who commits crimes like this, a true life sentence. Because 15 years may not be enough for rehabilitation, but it's that line of wanting to abolish our prison system. But then you look at crimes like this or crimes that involve children, and it really challenges what should be done with people who commit these kind of crimes. And I don't have an answer.
No, nobody does. And that's why I was kind of interested in this case, because it's they were they volunteered. They didn't have to do this as a job. They volunteered to be nurses or nurses' aides. They must have gone to some schooling for it. They did it for at least 6 years, maybe more.
Yeah.
At what point did they think, maybe this isn't for me? Like, maybe I could do something else productive with my life.
When is it your responsibility to stop becoming a nurse so you don't kill people? Immediately.
Yeah. Like, and not just, like, kill people with morphine, because that's terrible, but to hold someone's nose closed while you drown them in water just because they annoyed you. Just because they annoyed you, too. It's like, I would be very uncomfortable with that person walking free in my town.
Yeah, because it's like, I feel like it's different when the person who committed a crime is a child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're definitely. Yeah, but these folks were all over 18.
Yeah, and, no one's saying you're fully mature in your 20s, and a person can certainly change a lot in 15 years. But I feel for the Austrian people, and I would not want to be in the same room as that woman.
I would be very uncomfortable being around any of them. Also, why did they get a new identity?
Yeah, and it's like, part of me is like, do we be compassionate for someone who has to live their entire lives branded as a murderer? But then it's like, you did do a murder.
You did that, though, yeah. So
you did a murder.
It's messy. It's messy as hell. And I Googled what a life sentence in Austria is now, and the immediate answer was about 21 years, but then other sources said it was still about 15. So it seems like their justice system has kept it pretty much the same.
In Europe and in Scandinavian countries, they have a whole different view of the prison system than we do.
They do, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to look at some of it and just see if there could be improvements to our system. But I think in this case, them being released might have been a failing for, like, if I was a family member, especially of somebody that they killed, I would be deeply, deeply disturbed by that they were released.
Yeah, and the amount of murders. That's the thing, is that, no situation in which murder occurs everything's apples and oranges, right? Mm-hmm. No situation is 1-to-1. But when you kill that many people with that amount of dispassion and the cruelty in the method, it's so fucked up. And I don't know. Yeah, it's hard. It's people like this really challenge, what is ethically right and what will make people feel safe, but what is the right thing to do for the individual person too.
Yeah. And there is no right answer, so. Yeah,
well, that's our favorite answer on this podcast sometimes.
All right. Somebody go get me a cookie, and we'll see you after this ad break.
I'm getting the Oreos.
Memento Mori, an object serving as a warning or reminder of death. Death is inevitable, but how it happens can be tragically unfair. It can be dark, cruel, hateful, or just plain bizarre. I'm Megan, and I'll be your guide through these stories of chaos and devastation. Come listen as we dive into all types of true crime cases and learn about the evil that lurks among us, as well as the victims that deserved none of it. You can go to MementoMoriPod.com for more information. Monsters are real, and they look like people.
And my favorite kind of Oreo is the peanut butter pie ones, because the filling is half peanut butter, half chocolate. And the cookies are like little peanut butter cookies.
That sounds amazing. I haven't actually had those.
You should look for them in a store near you.
I will. My favorite Oreos are the mint ones that taste like toothpaste.
Oh, yeah. They're kind of like pseudo thin mint ones.
Yeah.
Those are really good. All right. So you informed me earlier today that you would be doing something that was heavy.
Nasty,
bad, brutal, unfun. Which, it was all those things, but also incredibly interesting. So I thought I'd cater my choice of subject matter to that.
Okay. Thank you. You always do. You always bring me up when I bring us all down.
I'm gonna try, but here's the thing about having a podcast about bones and death.
Yeah.
Is when you try to find something fun, you just end up finding more death.
Yeah.
But what I did find is certainly going to entertain you.
Okay.
So we are going to be talking about Death Avenue.
Okay.
And you say, Sophie, but what could be more fun than Death Avenue? I say nothing. Nothing.
What if there was a haunted house on Death Avenue, though? Would you go?
I would, but I'd be scared the whole time.
Uh-huh.
I'd be taking a little tinkle in my pants. How scared I'd be.
Yeah.
Death Avenue. It is in New York, but first,
Whoa.
Let's get into the sources.
Okay.
We got an article from New York Times, one from Wikipedia, one from thehighline.org, and one from grunge.com.
Yeah, grunge.
Grunge! We love grunge! We do. We're in the city of Seattle. I am, at least.
Yeah, Portland. I think Seattle's grungy, and Portland's maybe a little grungy, too. I don't know.
You guys are dirty down there. You
Yeah,
guys
it's
are dirty
pretty dirty.
dogs.
It's pretty dirty. The food's good, though.
All right. Death Avenue.
Okay.
1846
Damn.
is when the Hudson River Railroad was negotiating a contract with New York City to build tracks, railroad tracks, big-ass, whole-ass train tracks, down 11th and 10th Avenue to a freight terminal that was at Beach and Hudson Street. So this is a train that would travel at street level.
Okay.
And these trains are long. They're sometimes several blocks long. And they stop traffic. And they also kill pedestrians.
Oh my god. Sorry, everybody.
The New York Times reported that there was a death documented in their paper, at least one, in 1851, 1852, 1853, 1854, and 1855.
So it's just a yearly one person fucking around on the tracks.
That's at least one.
Okay.
At least one.
At least one a year.
Yeah. And often these victims were described as, quote, shockingly mangled.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I bet. They got hit by a train, so.
This train problem was so terrible, and it, like I said, it persisted year after year. It's not that people had to get used to a train running through a residential neighborhood, because the New York World, another paper in 1892, called this train, quote, a monster which menaced them, the people of this neighborhood, day and night.
Oh, Jesus. What, like the sounds?
It's the amount of people killed by this train is insane. There were a lot of school children that had to walk around.
Oh, God.
Yeah, by these tracks because, like I kind of hinted at, this is the heart of the Industrial Revolution in New York City. So if you imagine the street, it is not clean. It is full of, like, horses and people carrying shit around, and there's smoke and fog. The air quality was terrible. So seeing down the street was a whole thing of its own. And you're just walking by, and a train comes by and fucking blasts you.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't getting the magnitude of it, but if people are just dying left and right because of this train, something must be done.
By 1908, the Bureau of Municipal Research found that since 1852, so there's, I think it's 56 years that this, like, train runs at its, like, peak.
Since 1852?
1852, yeah. 1908 to 1852, that amount of time, 436 people had been killed by trains, a large proportion of them being children.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Something must be done.
And like I was saying, this is one of the poorest neighborhoods in New York at the time. This was both an industrial neighborhood and a place where there was a lot of tenement housing. So there were other train tracks like this in the city. There was one up at Park Avenue, and they had street level tracks, which also killed people. And it was also called Death Avenue in 1872. But this neighborhood had much wealthier residents who were able to lobby the railroad company to raise the tracks up so people weren't walking on the same level as the fucking train.
Yeah, that's okay. And they're like, well, it only matters because the people in the area are rich and decided that they wanted this. Silly them. Like, nobody else needs to live.
Well, it's fine that this train that runs daily is mowing down poor children in the street. That's fine. This is New York.
Yeah, what?
But there's a solution. Easy solution. And
A fence?
No, you're thinking of it right now, I'm sure.
Oh.
You're thinking of it, you're going, this is the only solution.
No. What?
Have a cowboy ride in front of the train waving a flag and a lantern to let everyone know the train is coming, of course.
Oh my God.
I was just going to say that, Caitlin.
A train cowboy.
Yeah, they were literally called West Side Cowboys.
Wow.
And they would wear bright colored clothes and like wave and hoot and holler, be like, train's fucking coming. Everybody get the fuck out of the way.
Wow.
That was literally their job. They would ride on a horse to let you know the train was coming.
That's crazy. That horse had to be going pretty fast for a while.
I mean, it's gotta be going faster than the train.
Yeah, you have no choice at that point.
By this point, when we've got cowboys and children dying in the streets, the New York world begins to refer to these West Side tracks as Death Avenue. And three kind of outrageous events happen to really signify, to really gather more outrage around these train tracks to fucking do something about it. So in 1894, a man who had lost his leg to these tracks,
oh God,
was like, you know what? Fuck these tracks. And he set them on fire.
Okay. I
don't
know how well that would have worked, but like, I like the sentiment. Like, we're doing something at least.
I love where his head's at.
Yeah.
So in 1897, there were a group of thieves, supposedly, that stole from a bank, and they escaped capture by the police by running in front of the train and catching the train between them and the police. And they were like, haha, fuck you, police, you're caught behind this train. And like I said, the trains are blocks long. Like, this is this train, I don't know if you've waited behind a train anytime recently, but it's a big pain in the ass. They take like 10 minutes to pass by. And by the time the train is gone, so are the thieves. Yeah. So police were pretty frustrated by that. They were like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And in 1897 as well, a guy named Michael Fox, who was a watchman who was stationed on an intersection near Death Avenue, who was like responsible for saving a lot of people from the train, because he would watch out for the train and basically do the same thing the cowboy did, but from higher up.
Yeah, from a different vantage point.
Yeah, he'd be like, if you guys didn't see the cowboy, the train is coming.
Yeah, y'all need to move.
Yeah, exactly, because this train does not give a shit about you.
No, and it can't stop.
It can't. It really can't. Not without hurting more people.
Yeah.
This man was killed by the train.
Fuck.
And, of course, this earned the train itself the nickname The Butcher.
Oh my God.
So now the tracks have a nickname and the train has a nickname. Do you think we should stop?
Like, either stop or like go so slow through this area so that people have time to move out of the way or something. I don't know what the solution is. This is nuts.
If you get caught under
It doesn't
these
really matter
trains,
how
it doesn't
fast
matter.
it's going. Yeah. You just die a little bit slower.
Yeah. The thing is that, like, there was one story. This is very gruesome, so please skip ahead for warning for something very gruesome. But there was a story of a boy who slipped on, like, wet, like, paving stones and was decapitated by the train.
Jesus.
Yeah. This is what is going on like a month-to-month basis here. Like,
yeah.
And people don't seem to care.
That's so nuts.
And
they care if they're rich.
Yes, exactly.
But the poor people don't know what their resources are to get this fixed, so they just have to take it.
No, they're not connected. They can't bribe anybody.
Ugh.
The outrage around the tracks really came to a head when a 7-year-old boy named Seth Lowe Haskamp was killed by the train, and his death incited a protest in 1908, which was a march by 500 school children.
Wow, the kids did a march.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? Have you ever seen recently or in the past kids just like coming together to stand up for their own safety when it seems like nobody cares about them and only cares about profit? Oh no, it's gun violence. Get out of the corner, gun violence.
Yeah, I was just going to say that sounds a lot like the current generation of teens and young people and the lack of safety from guns in schools.
Yeah, that's what this all made me think of.
Oh, my God. It's all connected.
Apples and oranges, but it's just like the utter disregard for like children's safety over profit.
And the kids are the ones that had to organize. That's wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
These school children organized for their own safety. And like I said, these kids were disproportionately like affected by this. Like the New York Times reported that there were 198 deaths in the prior 10 years to this march, and most of those were school children. So it is their own.
Yeah, they all probably had lost a friend or two to this fucking train disaster. Why don't we move the school? I mean, that's really expensive but
why don't we move the train?
Why don't we do something?
So finally, after, I guess one too many children's deaths, the government came up with Henry Saxe's bill, which demanded that the city would come up with a new plan for the train by 1808, or the city would have to condemn the property that belonged to Central Hudson Railroad Company, which would be these tracks. And so they would seize these tracks if they didn't come up with a better plan for the train.
Okay. And that would be by 1908?
By 1908.
Okay.
So the railroad said, fuck you.
Oh, good.
They said, we're ignoring this. And so the city was like, fine, then we're not accepting the licensing fee that you're paying us. We're not renewing your license to like operate.
Great.
And the railroad was like, fuck you again. We carry 3 million tons of food into New York. I don't think you want to mess with us.
Oh my God.
Which is like, fuck. You really got us over a barrel here, train company. And so the deaths continue, but they do decline after 1900. Finally, in 1929.
Oh my God.
We started this bullshit in like 1852.
That's way too long.
Yeah. So finally in 1929, the city and state of New York and New York Central Railroad finally end up agreeing, and they call this agreement the West Side Improvement Project. And they're going to finally move these tracks above street level. And so now these new tracks are called the High Line, and they open in 1934. And they are, replace the train running through factories and warehouses. A year after this, in 1935, Mayor Jimmy Walker, in a ceremony, pries out the first spike at 11th Avenue, which is Death Avenue.
Okay.
And 60th Street. But this still doesn't mark the closure of the tracks. Trains still sometimes run on these tracks. Still.
My God.
In 1941, train service is finally ended on these tracks. 1941.
Almost 100 years later.
Right?
Oh my God.
And on this last like service, they had a cowboy riding in front of it. They had the horse's name was Cyclone, and the guy's name was George Hayden, and he wore a 10-gallon hat for the ceremony.
Okay. And he was like, hey, train's coming for the last time, bitches.
Well, actually, the train would truly come for the last time in 1980.
Stop.
Yeah.
It's still at street level, or it's above street level now?
I believe that's still at, I think it's still at street level. Or
what the fuck?
It might be the High Line. I'm not sure. But I read that the last train ran along these tracks in 1980. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Since then, the place where the tracks is now a park.
Oh.
But
Death Avenue Park.
Yeah, Death Avenue Park. But, it took Death Avenue over 100 years to die.
That's insane.
This was normal. I know that I did Victorian stuff last week, but the Industrial Revolution and the Victorian age is so wild to me.
Well, it's like they're saying that all of these people, specifically children's deaths, pale in comparison to the industrial rewards. And
yeah, and it's the other train
that's
track
not it.
Proves that they could have solved the problem much earlier.
But they chose not to because
they
wasn't
poor.
Convenient. Yeah. And
they
the people
were poor immigrant
mm-hmm.
neighborhoods, so they did not care. They were like, yeah, your children could get smashed to bits. Literally, the carnage is too much for me to describe here. What happened to these poor people who lived by this train. Not to mention the fact that this train was just rumbling down the fucking street where people lived. A full-ass train.
Yeah, that's no good. I'm glad they fixed it finally. It only took 100 years.
Right? When I found out about this, I of course saw a TikTok about it.
Mm-hmm.
And was like, I wonder if this is as bad as this guy is saying. Of course it was worse.
Yes, of course. Of course it was.
It always is when you look into it. I don't even know why. I saw it and was immediately like, this is a bone topic. I can't believe
it definitely
this is true.
is.
The fucking Cowboys. It's like, this is where we're at. We're not going to raise the street, but we're going to employ people whose only job it is to tell people to get the fuck out of the way so they don't get killed by the train that runs through their backyard.
Yeah, you would think that there would be something else to be done.
I'm so mad. I'm with these school children today and in the past.
Yeah. Suck it, New York.
Suck it, New York. Suck it, you Republican pieces of shit and your stupid fucking guns. Why do you need it if you were truly as burly and badass as you say you are? You would punch people to death like a normal person.
You said a mouthful there, sister.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's how I feel.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, the past comes back to haunt us all the time, and it's really scary. And hopefully, the gun violence situation, hopefully it won't take 100 years from now to fix it, but it's certainly been going on for way too long.
It's funny because I was going to say, I bet it takes 100 years to fix.
It already has, is what it feels like.
I mean, yeah, we've had this problem for a long time. Well, not that long, really. It's kind of a modern problem. Anyway.
Okay, well, I don't know if I feel uplifted by that one, but a very good topic, very interesting.
Yeah, I tried to choose something fun, but I ended up finding something horrific.
That's our style,
That's our style, but I would not have it any other way.
No, I'm very happy to be doing this podcast with you, Soph.
Yeah. Even though I always hear about some horrific crime, usually, I cherish this time with you.
Yeah, you too. And we cherish all of our listeners, our boneheads.
Yeah.
And if if you haven't given us some 5-star love yet on your favorite podcast listening app, like, get over there and do it, because it really helps us get noticed, and we super appreciate it. And we see all of them. I check it obsessively, and unfortunately. But yeah, we hope that you appreciate your bones and have a good day. And don't, what can we learn from this? You can trust nurses, but not all of them.
And always join local movements for improving the community.
And look both ways before you cross the train tracks.
Oh, yes. God, yes. It's fucking fat cats.
Yeah.
God,
right,
I get so riled up. If I was a 1900s schoolboy, you would catch me out there setting those tracks on fire with that guy.
Yeah, you'd be pulling up nails and with your teeth.
Hell yeah, I would be. I'd be like, I gotta get to the factory in an hour, but God, if I don't hate these tracks.
All right, everyone. There's only one thing left. Bon voyage.
We love you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Anything Bones. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Anything Bones Podcast, or email us at anythingbonespodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you to Nick Kruger for our spooky music and Stephen Vetteroff
At Chubby Scrubby on Twitter,
for our jazzy vocals, and thank you to Camilla Franklin
at Camilla Strader on Instagram.
for our beautiful bony artwork. Please rate, review, and subscribe.
Is that like before the tracks are installed, they're killing people, or?
No, they're
Oh,
killing people
just-
on these train tracks.
Okay, it doesn't make a difference.
No.
Yeah.
The first come the tracks, then come the trains, then
Obviously,
come the death.
yeah. Cut that out. It's terrible. Obviously, a train need track.
I have a t-shirt with that. This is obviously a train need track. Next line of merch.
Yeah. Obviously, a train needs a track.
No, not a train need track.
Okay, all right. Make it even shorter and dumber sounding.
Exactly.